Solo queuing and playing in a team are complete polar opposite experiences. They are like no other, which is why solo queuing can be nearly impossible to actually gain any success from it. Which is why in today's video I did want to discuss why playing in a team and solo queuing are completely different experiences. On top of that, explaining why life as a solo queue player is quite frankly nearly impossible to gain any success from. And then how you can actually beat this system and improve as a player in Siege, and as well the changes that I would make to solo queuing if I had the power to do so, and why I would make them. It's time to dive into the depths of solo queuing and find out why it is so hard, how we can beat the system and change it for the future. And let's take a look. Now, Rainbow Six Siege is a game designed for teams. It is a 5v5 FPS shooter, therefore having 5 teammates you can actually coordinate with is absolutely crucial. From the very core basis, it is quite literally a team-based game, having 5 players on each team. A team-based game from the get-go isn't going to fare too well when you match up a bunch of players who are solo queuing and don't know each other with a fully coordinated team who are going to be playing in a 5-man. Second of all, the game is all about intel. Intel is what delivers the kills. Intel is what is going to deliver a lot of the information for you and your team. And the harsh reality of solo queue is that nobody gives out information, nobody will call out, let alone have a microphone. Now, by all means, this is the situation you are given with. You can't expect anything else. But these are the differences compared to a solo queue experience and a 5-man or a full team experience. A teammate could know about where a roamer is going to be coming from, doesn't give any information or call out, and you end up dying because of that. Whereas in a team you are coordinating, you are able to run more advanced strategies because you have the fully power that you need to, having 5 people to actually carry it out. Whereas in solo queue, it is you against the world. Not only are you against the other team, but you're actually against your teammates, or quite frankly, you can't rely on your teammates. But on top of that, you have the toxicity. Siege is a toxic community, and every day we're trying to make it a little bit brighter and more positive, so be sure to do that yourself too. But the fact is, when you are going to be playing with randoms in solo queue, often the toxicity reaches new levels. Whereas a 5-stack or a team, you are able to control that very easily. You can control your environment. From teammates team killing, no communication at all, teammates reinforcing rotation holes, making the wrong type of plays, no communication causes pure chaos. Which therefore means that solo queue is absolute pure chaos. And this isn't just in Siege, many other games, the history of gaming, have been like this. Now, one of the main things I think people are misguided on is actually winning in solo queue. I do believe that people think you can win in solo queue, rank up, etc, etc, and that is the goal that you should be focusing on. However, I would place ranking up in Siege and success in solo queue Siege as a secondary. I do believe in solo queue and for Siege you should be focusing on improving as a player. Solo queue is pure chaos, but it can help you improve as a player so much. Your stats may not depict that, but however, you should forget about that and focus on improving your own gameplay. The amount of toxicity, lack of communication, bad plays that you have to suffer and go through builds a mindset quite frankly like no other. You begin to forget about your teammates, you begin to realize you can't control them, and overall after time, you start to realize that you need to focus on your own gameplay and figure the flaws out in your gameplay, because that is the only way you are going to improve in solo queuing. And then when you begin to carry this out, continue improving, picking up on your own flaws because you've realized that you can't control the teammates, the toxicity, the chaos. And overall, after time, you start to develop more and more as a player, which is when potentially you might see yourself improving and ranking up a little bit, which is the secondary option that is going to come into play. But I don't think focusing on purely your rank in solo queue is going to help you to improve and actually rank up yourself. I think if you focus on improving, after a little bit of time, once you've got in the dirt and you start to crawl out, you'll begin to see that success. But the horrible thing with solo queue is that you are completely out of control. It is a randomizer. You don't know whether you're going to have a full 5-stack on your team. With you, you've got 4 who actually know and communicate, and you're the solo queue random. Or you could be coming up against a full-fledged team whilst you are full of solo queue randoms. And then you add in the levels of toxicity, whether they know how to play the map, whether they know how to play certain operators. Overall, that adds to the chaos. And the reason why solo queue is nearly impossible is because no matter how much you improve, you can't control your matchmaking. You can't control what you get matched up against with. To undercut the system and kind of move around the solo queue experience and actually beat the system, I would recommend you to focus on improving. Your stats are going to take an absolutely massive hit, but you've got to move and shift into the mindset that they are irrelevant and it is your own gameplay that actually will matter. And essentially the pattern of flow should look like this if you are focused on improving. You go into solo queue, you fully shift into that mindset that you're going to be solo queuing for a while because you have no way to find a team, but it's been really difficult for you. You focus on improving, you focus on finding your flaws, picking them out and moving forward. Your gameplay is going to improve immensely. However, you shouldn't have to deal with the teammates and the randoms that you have to put up with. But that is the way the matchmaking system currently works and is going to work. Which leads me on to the changes that I would implement if I was the head of Rainbow Six Siege, or if I was somebody in a position where I could pose solo queue changes. This is what I would do. Now, I believe allowing solo queue players to actually play the game is perfectly fine. However, I do think it needs to be tweaked. The reinforcement pool was added and the ping system was added, which are going to help solo queue players out, which could be controversial with the reinforcement pool, I do know that. However, it is a change in the right direction, but again, only a small one. First of all, I think the main change here is splitting solo queue into a separate playlist. I would have a solo queue ranked playlist and a 5-stack or a 5-man full team ranked playlist. Now, for the people who duo queue, trio queue, and have a 4-man, this is going to be a little more difficult, and I would love to hear your feedback or what kind of changes you would make to this as well in the comments below. Now, either you change the solo queue playlist to a solo queue and duo queue playlist, or you mix it together so that a trio team would be matched up with a duo queue team, combining them together for that team ranked playlist. Now, the only problem that I run into here is when there's a 4-man, you're not going to have that extra man being able to fill in as that would be in the solo queue playlist. Should they have no one on their team? Should they just simply start a man down? Or what should happen here? Should they restrict it to only 5-mans only in a 5-player team? What do you think? Let me know. Now, that definitely needs to be split up for the playlist. Now, obviously, we have ways of finding teammates like the team finder, but I think it needs to be a little more built in to the actual game instead of being a side art. I think integrating it into the Rainbow Six Siege system itself would help a ton. Now, next up are changes that I would make with the ping system. I would go to another whole advanced level with it. I would make it in more depth. I would change it so that it is a lot more in-depth and advanced, which means you can make more advanced callouts with your pings. Now, for example, some sort of slider feature that is going to allow you, for example, if you're looking at a soft wall and you want to make a rotation hole, if you go into your slider, select the option that says rotation hole here, you ping it on the soft wall, it is going to make a call out with your actual character in-game, so their player voice will say it, which is essentially just a nice quality of life feature, but as well it is going to have that image ping that will pop up on that soft wall, and also in the team text chat, it is going to come up with your player name once a rotation hole. Whatever type of text chat would come up on your team for that, whether it is rotation hole here. So to recap, you've got a different slider for the ping system, more advanced with different callouts that you can make, not just a rotation hole, maybe a murder angle, whatever it is that you can add in. It would also be great to see that feature appear in the text chat, with the quality of life feature being the actual operator voice line, making that call out. Now, obviously, on Xbox or console, this text chat feature would have to be added in, but I would say potentially scrapping the whole text chat feature on PC and on console, and instead just having the call out system, the ping system, being integrated into the text chat itself. Now, if I'm looking at this from a developer's point of view, it's going to reduce toxicity, it's going to reduce their workload, but as well, it's also going to mean that you aren't going to need to call out any rotations or any type of specific in-game call out in the actual text chat. Instead, you can make it with that advanced ping system. Now, there are more and more minor changes that I would make to solo queue, but the main one that I do kind of want to finish off on here is, why is friendly fire in Rainbow Six Siege? Is it to make the game more realistic? And if that is the answer, is it worth having this feature in when you are going to be facing many other toxic players in Siege? Now, I'd imagine there are a few good reasons for this, as there would be potentially exploits that you could run with this, kind of getting in the way of shots, etc. with teammates. Now, by all means, I'm throwing some thoughts out here, as it is great to get these discussions going for Siege. But what if it was implemented to the point where you could actually shoot them, and they were a solid body that you had to shoot, but they didn't do any damage, you couldn't actually team kill them, therefore you wouldn't be able to, quite frankly, avoid shots. Now, if the only really viable answer to this is to make it more realistic, then is it actually worth that, is my question. If I'm missing something, if there is another answer to it, as I can't seem to pick up on one straight from looking here, be sure to let me know down below. I would love to have a chat with you when I am live on my streams about the changes that you would make to solo queuing, or kind of revamp it yourself. Be sure to let me know when I am live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you liked the video or you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe for more tips and tricks videos like this one. I'll catch you all in the next one and have an incredible rest of your day. Bye bye.